Good afternoon. Oh, that was, I'm going to try that again. Good afternoon. It's great to see you all. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend a morning in the schools this morning and to be with us today as you all come back from break. As we get started, I just want to thank a few people. First of all, I'd like to thank Bank of America for their continued support of Principal Partner and of the schools, the organizations and programs which benefit BPS students across the city, as well as teachers and families. Specifically, Michal Chamberlain, Alicia Verity, and BPE's board chair, Chad Gifford. BP board member Carrie Sullivan could not be with us today, but I would like to thank her as well as BPE board member Maura Banta from IBM. I'd like to recognize and thank Mayor Walsh and Ron Dorsey, Superintendent Chang, Makiba McCreary, and other BPS leaders and staff. Boston School Committee members Jerry Robinson, Regina Robinson, and Chair Michael O'Neill. Oh, Michael Lecanto too. Sorry, Michael. Thank you. Anybody else? Special. Oh, Vice and Hardin Coleman. Sorry. Yeah. I want to give a special thanks to Tess Atkinson at BPS and Marty Fuller, Hensley Carrasco, and Melanie Winklowski at BPE, who all made today's event possible. Let's give them a hand, please. I'd like to recognize Representative Peisch, who's the co-chair of the Joint Committee on Education, and Acting Commissioner Wolfson from Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Nice to have you both here. And finally, because today's principal partners, I'd like to ask all the BPS principals in the room to stand up, please. Thank you for the work you do every day. If there's one message I would say I've heard from people I've talked to this morning, it's how impressed each person was with the principal they shadowed and how they came away, even if they came into the morning with this, how they came away with a deeper respect and appreciation for the complexity of the task of being a principal in the Boston Public Schools. And I personally know of no job like that, as hard and as complex, and that asks as much of a person in any given day. And as you saw this morning, our students do not lack for energy, curiosity, persistence, or brilliance. There are so many talented young people in our city's schools. But what our students too often lack is access. We hope that today can serve as a jumping off point to build on past efforts and to start some new ones in which we make sure that graduates of the Boston Public Schools have access to the college and career opportunities they need to be successful in a city like Boston, in buildings such as this one, and in companies like those represented in the room today. If we're able to come together around such efforts, we'll be ensuring our city's future for coming generations. But if we fail to do so, we risk leaving many of our students and their families and their children on the outside of one of the most exciting and prosperous economies in the world. I was lucky enough recently to spend a few days in Switzerland learning about their vocational training system. So unlike in the US, vocational education in Switzerland is not seen as a low track. Instead, over 2/3, 70% of students engage in some kind of vocational track. There are 230 official professions, anything from hairstylist to chemical engineer. And each sector partners with the government to develop a set of industry qualifications, assessments, curriculum, essentially answering the question, what does a young person need to know and be able to do to qualify for an entry-level position in this industry? And students learn what they need to know in school, in training centers co-sponsored by industry and schools, and in apprenticeships. And these apprenticeships allow students the opportunity to serve as part of adult teams, to take on the responsibility for real work with colleagues who depend on them while earning money to contribute to their families. And at the end of the apprenticeship, students have a nationally recognized qualification that allows them to move directly into full-time employment or to continue on to higher education. My strongest memory from talking to young people in a variety of these vocational settings was the confidence and independence with which they held themselves. They had been put in situations which asked a lot of them, and they had been given coaching and support, and they knew they could be successful. Now, I'm not arguing that we should just copy Switzerland, but I do want to argue two things. The first is that we need a systematic approach to ensuring that our young people have access to Boston's economy in the years to come. And the second is that we can't do it without all of you. We need your know-how, your mentors, apprentices, apprenticeships, jobs, and guidance to build the schools our students need and to build bridges with you that our students can traverse. Thank you again for being here today, for giving of your time and attention, and thank you in advance for continued collaboration in the years to come. It's now my pleasure to introduce a mentor of mine, the Chairman Emeritus here at the Bank of America and the Chair of the BPE Board, Chad Gifford.
Thanks, Jesse. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for caring to go to the schools. Laura Sen and I were at the Burke School, and it just seems to me that if more of our colleagues in leadership, past, present, and future, could visit a school and see what the principals and the teachers are doing, the challenges they have, it just gives you a better idea of the challenges we face in today's society. Education is the leveler, and the better job we can do, the more we can learn about it, will be to the great advantage. I think we gain, as we were leaving today, Laura and I were at the Burke, and Dr. McIntyre, she's a whirling dervish. She's taken a turnaround school to level 3 and will be improving, I'm sure. And she said, well, thanks for coming. It means a great deal when folks like you, I think she was talking about Laura, take time of their day to learn about what we're doing. So I just think it's a win-win all around. But I have the lusty responsibility of introducing our mayor. I told him this was going to be brief because he doesn't need a whole lot. I think he just won a re-election by a tight margin of some 30 points. And if you read anything, if you know anything about Marty, I'll tell you one thing about Marty Walsh is he knows the brilliance of working and the importance of working with the business community. That's what a mayor has to do to be as successful as he has to date. But if you've read anything about him, know anything about him, education, he damn well expects to make a difference during his tenure as mayor in just improving the opportunities for the kids of the future, because God knows they deserve it, and in this country right now we need it. So again, Michal, Alicia, thank you for hosting. I'm very proud that the bank continues to be a leader. Back to Mayor Walsh. Marty, thank you for being here. We appreciate it very much. The Mayor of Boston, Marty Walsh.
Thank you very much, Chad. Thank you for going out today to the Burke School. The Burke is great, and I want to thank Laura as well for going. The Burke School, there's so many great things happening at the Burke, and thank you. 2 years ago, at the end of the year, they had a tough year. One of their students got killed in front of the school, and the leadership of that school rallied around each other. And this year they had an incredible year as well there. So thank you for that. I want to thank. Just want to get through a few thank yous. Michal, thank you so much. Michal Chamberlain, for all that you do in our city, and thank you for continuing the great tradition of Bank of America. Alicia, thank you as well for being at all the events. I see her at everything, and I appreciate your involvement, what you do as well. Alice Peisch, my former colleague at the State House, who does an incredible job navigating a complicated system when you're trying to juggle 160 state representatives and their different ideas, and 40 state senators whose ideas are often very different than the 160 state representatives. And I want to thank you, Chairwoman Peisch, for being here with us today. Jesse, thank you as well for laying out. Where you go? There you are. For laying out your speech here today. I heard you. I heard you, what you said, and it's important for us that we continue to make sure that we prepare our young people for the future, and we have to do that now, and we have to do that, and sometimes it means to be disruptive. And I think that after this election is over now it's time to be disruptive in some ways in the Boston Public School system. When I say that in a very positive way, but we are going to be disruptive, and we are going to change the way we do things. Dr. Chang, thank you as well for your leadership and for what you do, and your entire team that's here. Makiba McCreary, thank you. Makiba's here. Makiba's going to be calling a lot of you and some of you over the course of the next few months about philanthropic donations and givings, and some of you are already involved, but I'm going to be asking you for help as well, because we are going to change the way we do philanthropy in the school. We're going to make sure that we put it to the dollars to the kids, and I want to thank you, Makiba, for the work you're going to do. The school committee is all here. Mike O'Neill, our chairman, is here. Regina and Jerry and Michael and Cardin, and thank you very much for all of your great work on the school committee. I'm not sure if I forgot anybody, but I apologize if I did. Thank you for everyone today that went and was, I see Marty Martinez down there. Hi, Marty, how are you? Thank you for when it was this principal today. I talked to a few people, and the insight that you get being a principal is remarkable. You get a chance to see firsthand that, you know, there's so much more we could be doing in our schools, and you realize by being a principal the challenges that we have in our schools. We have an old school district. Many of you were in a school today that was built before World War II. We have fallout shelters in there, so in case we get attacked by the Russians, we're all set. We have the fallout shelter there that was built for World War II and World War I. We have to change that. And our Bill BPS plan does change that. Our Bill BPS plan allows us the opportunity for our principals that are in this room to teach in a 21st century environment. Something that's important for us to do, something that we worked on hard. Ron Dorsey, our Chief Education, worked on that program. Before we were the mayor, before I was the mayor of Boston, we talked about what we wanted to do. We rolled it out at the end of last year, and we're going to roll it out this year about how do we continue to make investments. Our teachers and our students and our parents are incredible people, and the support staff in all of our schools are incredible. They're doing incredible work, as you saw today. I want to thank you for being part of that to help them. Because Jesse made a comment, it's important that we continue to educate our young people. There are people in this room from the for-profit worlds. We want to educate our young people so they can be potentially the future Bank of America presidents in Massachusetts, or our different utility companies in Massachusetts, or professors at colleges, or heads of the Chamber of Commerce, or heads of industry, or heads of nonprofits, or maybe a startup that sells furniture and all of a sudden now grows to a little big company in our city. That's what we want to see for the future of our young people. The people that all of you, or maybe even in local government or state government, it's important for us to do that. We want to continue to build an opportunity here for our kids. Boston Public Schools have made strong progress over the last 4 years. We have more students in pre-kindergarten. We have more learning time. When I first came to this luncheon, my first year as mayor, we had one of the shortest school days in the country. We no longer have that short school day. We have more summer programming where our young people are into summer programming, learning and enjoying and being active, but also learning so they don't lose the skills that they learned during the school year. We have more of that going on than any other time before. Our 10th grade math scores and graduation rates are at all-time highs. Those are celebrations. But on the other side of that, 27% of our kids don't graduate high school. That's unacceptable. That's not something that we can brag about. That's something that we have to continue to make sure that we get all our kids graduating from high school and putting them on a pathway to success, whether it's college or career. For the first time in the history of Boston, all 3 of our exam schools are led by a person of color, principals of color. And we're working on recruiting more teachers to our district. So because of our kids, 87% roughly of the district is represented by young people of color that go to our schools. When they go into the classrooms, the teachers are white. We have to continue to recruit more teachers of color to get into our classrooms so that we can teach our young people. We're working on getting back on the right track there. We also I talked about Bill BPS. We're working on that. And we're also simplifying grade configurations. Working on grade configurations. In Boston, I said this last time I was here, I think I spoke to you. I think we have 128 schools. We have 24 grade configurations. Think about that for a minute. Any one of you in business today, if you had that type of system, you wouldn't be here. So we're going to change that. We're going to work to that. We're going to make sure that our kids don't have to change schools 4, 5, 6 times in their careers because they get into different schools. We're going to work on changing that across the district. We're also going to work on start times and moving our start times around. I know there's a little controversy on that, but we are going to do that. We are going to move our start times, and we're going to get it more consistent so that we can cut down on transportation costs in the city of Boston and reinvest that transportation cost back in the district. Some of you mentioned nurses to me today and medical folks in the schools. By doing that, we'll be able to put more resources back in the schools, and that's what our plan is as we move forward here. We're going to be opening the Dearborn STEM 6 through 12 Academy. Our priority moving forward, and the chairwoman, Alice Pike, has been very helpful to us, is free, high-quality pre-kindergarten. She's working on legislation at the State House. We're working with her. We have our own example of legislation as well that's not conflicting. It's about how do we get it done, and making sure that it becomes a priority for all people in state government, including our governor, the Senate president, making sure that people fall and work with us to make sure this happens, that we have to do that. So I'd suggest to you, as you talk to your colleagues around the Commonwealth, if you don't live in Boston, let them know the importance of universal pre-kindergarten. Tell them that we want it here in Massachusetts. We need it in Massachusetts. Not every single city and town needs it, but Boston wants it, Springfield wants it, Lawrence wants it, Somerville wants it, Pittsfield wants it, Holyoke wants it. It's a theme here on areas that we need to make sure we get it there. So I want to ask you for that. Just to wind up in a second, we have dozens of new Puerto Rican students in our district. They're not technically immigrants, but they need the same supports that our immigrant community needs, and we're doing that in the city of Boston. I want to thank all of you. We're also working with our Haitian families losing temporary protected status, the concern that's going through our immigrant community. I've said it once, and I'm going to continue to say it. I'm going to continue to stand up for our immigrants, because the people who are most affected are the young people that go to our schools. And when people said to me during the election, you know, you might want to chill out a little bit on the rhetoric on the immigration stuff, I said, no, not at all. Because when I walk into a school and I see a child that's concerned about the fact that their parent might be taken from their home because somebody goes on TV and calls a press conference every time he gets in a little heat, he starts talking about immigration, that's wrong. Threatening our young kids in this country, in this city, is wrong. We're going to continue to fight for our immigrant students. In Boston, 30% of our students are English language learners. It was great to see the bilingual education bill become law. Boston is a city of immigrants. We're going to continue to be a city of immigrants. So we're going to continue to make sure that our young people feel safe. I want to, the biggest thank you in this room today is our principals. I'd like to ask our principals to stand up one more time. And any teachers that might be here, if you're a teacher, please stand up. I want to thank our teachers, I want to thank our principals, and all of the staff at the different schools around the city for the work you do every single day. You probably have the most important job in the city of Boston. I know that on any given day we can talk about our police or our EMS or our fire department, or maybe even the mayor or the mayor's office or the city council or what have you. But the most important job every single day in the city of Boston is our principals and teachers, because you are educating the future of Boston, Massachusetts, and the world, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your passion, your care, and commitment. And now I have the opportunity, I think, to introduce the chairman of the Boston School Committee, Mike O'Neill, and Regina Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I think I got the to-do list straight, right? It's more coming, right? We heard you on disruptive. Thank you very much for your passion, your focus on the schools. You are a tremendous partner to work with day in and day out. And we're looking forward to some great things coming up. The school committee has been very busy. I know Jesse was acknowledging, but I want to acknowledge the Vice Chair, Hardin Coleman, Jerry Robinson, Regina Robinson, who will speak in a moment, and Michael LaConta were here. And two other members couldn't make it today. But we have a number of things on our agenda. The mayor mentioned most of them. The grade configuration, Build BPS, which we'll be announcing shortly. I do want to ask a quick question about high school start times. We've been working hard with the district on this. We're going to, not just high school, but actually all of our school start times. And since all of you are at schools today, how many think that high schools should be starting after 8 a.m. versus the current schedule? You see, okay, quite a few hands going up there, and actually the scientific research backs that up. So we are trying to balance it with the needs of the students after school with work and jobs. and athletics, but the academic research is so clear on that. And also, how many think that our elementary school students shouldn't still be in school at 4 p.m. or thereafter? Okay, so a number of those as well. So those are the two key things we're looking at, and we do anticipate making a change on that. The school committee will be voting on that next week. But I do want to say, this is really one of my favorite days of the year, because I love when our business and nonprofit and legislative leaders go out and spend time in our schools for two reasons. One, you get to see the incredible work that our high school leaders do and our elementary school leaders and our middle school leaders do day in and day out. Many of you also go home and say, boy, I wouldn't take that job for all the tea in China, because it's a really hard job, but we're so lucky to have such dedicated leaders who do it. And as the mayor pointed out, our school leaders and our teachers are the front lines in improving education in this city. So I love that you get a chance to see how hard our school leaders work day in and day out. But I also love the creativity that comes out of it, because you get to look at it with a fresh lens and say, have you thought of this and have you thought of that? And I want to highlight three quick things. One, the work that Children's Hospital and UMass Boston does in a partnership with us on behavioral health, for the behavioral health of our students, is literally nationally leading. It is a national model that other districts are looking at saying, wow, how are you doing this? And that's the value of partnerships. When we take some of the best that we have here in the city, and let's face it, Children's Hospital, UMass Boston, and BPS together focusing on our behavioral health, tremendous national model that started right here. And the other is the work that the Shah Foundation, Family Foundation, is doing right now to completely rethink food service to our students. And they're testing the hub and spoke model right now in East Boston, where we're prepping school at East Boston High and delivering it where it's being cooked at several of our schools, and we're looking at that model nationally. But that's people taking business expertise and digging in, and not just saying, hey, you should think of this, but really, Jill Shaw, God bless you, you're becoming one of the national authorities on school nutrition. So thank you for the mindset that you brought to really force us to rethink this issue and how can we get fresher, better food for our students. It's partnerships that are like that come out of things like this. So I'm very excited. Alicia Verite said to me, she was out at the Quincy school and said, boy, I thought of a really good idea from today, and let's see if we can talk later about putting it in place. So that's the ideas that we hear from today that we get so excited about. So thank you for spending time in your day. Thank you for building the relationships, and please push farther on it versus, just saying, how can we help? Dig in, bring us these ideas, and let's see what we can do to together make it better for the 57,000 youth in our care. And now I want to introduce our fellow member, Regina Robinson, who is a dean at Cambridge College. I kid her, it should be called Charlestown College because they've moved into Charlestown now, but a nationally known school for adult learners. And Ms. Robinson.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we've had a show of hands for a couple of different reasons, but I want to ask for a show of hands if you have already had a couple of staff meetings, you've already met with a couple of stakeholders for your organization before 8 a.m. on a given day. Raise your hand if that typically takes place at your workplace. Excellent. Raise your hand if you are wrangling 400 students to get where they need to go before 8 a.m. on a given day. Other than our principals. So hopefully you were able to have a bit of a glimpse into the life of a principal this morning and seeing the vast amount of work and creative energy that goes into the day before 8 a.m. I know that I hadn't had my cup of Earl Grey before 8 a.m. and it was quite amazing to see how much work got done even before 9 a.m. The staff meetings that took place, the parent-teacher meetings that I was able to walk past. And I was able to engage with students, engage with teachers, watch a classroom in progress, ask a couple of students questions about what they were reading and what they were talking about within their small groups. And it was really amazing, but it was before 8 a.m. And so those of you who are able to partner with us today, and you've done this more than once, please raise your hand if you've done this more than one time. Excellent. If this was your first time, please raise your hand. And it won't be your last, correct? What I would love to encourage you to do is to encourage one of your colleagues when you return to your workplace encourage them to walk into our schools, to see the great work that takes place, to see the great energy that every principal must have as they're engaging and shifting gears with staff, with students, with parents, and with everyone else that they must engage. What we're excited about in BPS is how community really does matter. Your work matters. The expertise that you bring to the table really matters as you encounter our school leaders. And as Mr. O'Neill shared earlier, it is important for you to give your bright ideas to our school leaders as well, because our partnerships really do make our district better. I'd like to pick on someone who may have had a surprising experience this morning, who may have seen something that he or she may not have seen before within a school. So I'm going to look around, and who won't get mad at me? Kristen. Tell me something that you saw this morning at your high school, maybe something surprising or energizing or refreshing.
So I actually saw two science teachers for upper level science who were female, and they were the only science teachers in the school, so that was very exciting.
So there was some girl magic going on? Yes. Yes, it's important when you have a particular lens at a school, you are able to shed light on that lens to the school leader. Seeing two female science teachers was really engaging. We were also able to, I know for myself, watching the students connect the dots between what took place during Thanksgiving to what's taking place within the classroom experience. Just small lessons like that, I was able to engage and see the teachers at work. Once I was able to hear Ms. Wilson talk about certain teachers who were stars in their own rights, and then we walked to their classrooms, I was really impressed to see the work that took place. It's important for you all as school leaders. We are excited to see the work that the school leaders have in engaging our students, but we're also excited for events like today. And as Mr. O'Neill shared, partnership really matters. If you saw something that you would like to propose to the school leader, that you would like your business to engage with, it is encouraging and very, very important that you lend your expertise to that. Now I'd like to introduce the person who is able to lead these efforts and to lead our school leaders. I would like to bring up Dr. Tommy Chang, our superintendent.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to see everyone. Just a couple of quick thank yous. I want to thank the school committee, especially Chairman O'Neill, for being here today. I want to thank Mayor Walsh for being here, and thank you, Mayor, for talking so passionately about immigrants. Our young people, especially our immigrants, come from rich cultures of resilience, and it's our job to make sure they feel safe, welcomed, affirmed, and sustained in our schools. So thank you for your passion, as always, talking about this important issue. This is such a great event. Thank you, Boston Plan, for excellence for once again hosting this event. Thank you to our principals for your leadership. The mayor and Chairman O'Neill talked about a lot of great work that is happening within BPS. Let me also just add a couple of things. We're working really hard to make sure that resources are aligned to where needs are. So we're doing a lot of work around something called the Opportunity Index. I also encourage people to go onto a website called partnerbps.org. It's a rebuilt website that shows all the different partners that work in BPS, the work that they do, how they align to the mission of the school system, and it is work that's been ongoing, but we're about to make another big launch on the partner work. So encourage folks to check that out as well. There are 57,000 young people that come to school in Boston Public Schools every single day. It is our job to prepare them for college, career, and life. And when young people meet individuals such as yourselves, what they are wondering is how do they one day become you? You are role models for our young people. You are leaders in this city, and they want to be you one day. They want to be in your shoes, leading in this city as well. So thank you for your participation in this work. Now, I have the pleasure and honor of welcoming two young people up here. I want to first of all ask Malachi Hernandez to come up. If Malachi can come up here. And then Sophia Meadows Muriel to come up. And as they are coming up, I want to tell a little bit about both of these young people. Malachi Hernandez is a BLA grad who began serving as a courageous and fearless community advocate at the age of 14. He was an active member of the Mayor's Youth Council, My Brother's Keeper, Boston Advisory Board, and was a captain of the STEP team. He also had an opportunity recently to meet former President Barack Obama, I believe. Right? He is now a Torch Scholar at Northeastern University, where he is studying political science. He's an active member of the BSA, right? Black Student Association, and aims to continue his efforts in mentorship and social justice. And he told me today he wants to be a teacher. It's great to hear. Let's give him a round of applause. And Sophia is a senior at BLS, Boston Latin School. She is a captain of the varsity soccer team. She is the vice president of her class. She is a member of the BPS street team. She is also holding a TOEFL fellowship and a fellowship also at Mass Housing. And I'm sure you are also keeping up with your grades as well and about in the middle of applying for college. So let's give her a round of applause. Sophia, why don't we start with you? Love for you to tell a little bit about yourself and where you attend BPS. So you could tell a little bit about your experience at BLS.
Okay, I'm Sophia. I'm currently a senior at Walsh School. I'm 18 years old. Right now, what I'm doing, as what you previously said before, was captain of the soccer team, vice president of the class, only female. Sorry. And we're back. I did a CVAC fellowship in the summer with Thaddeus, who actually helped me get a job with Nakiba at the BPS street team, and I'm an ambassador there. Thank you. And basically what that job is about is heavily focused on marketing and community engagement. We go to different events like the BPS open house that was almost a month ago. And we're just very in the community, talking to people all the time. And I think that's an experience that a lot of people don't get all the time.
Great. Yeah. And Malachi, how about you? Love to hear a little bit about you, your history, and your experience at BPS.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Malachi Hernandez. I attended Boston Latin Academy. I graduated in May of 2016, and my experience was honestly one of a kind. I often tell people, especially around those who are still at Latin Academy, I tell them, I'm like, I recognize that when I was in Boston Latin Academy that I found it very, very difficult. I found that it was very challenging at times. There would be days where I would go home and I would cry because I was like, I don't feel as if I can do this workload. However, whenever I share that story with them, I was reminding them that it's not until you get out of the situation and out of the process that you kind of recognize that sometimes there are great things that come out of it. And I look back now and I'm like, now that I'm in college, being the first generation of my family to be at Northeastern, there are great takeaways that I've been able to apply to my experience at Northeastern University. And some of the work that I did at Boston Latin Academy, I was working in the mayor's office at the Mayor's Office of Economic Development with John Garros, and that was an incredible experience. I gained, numerous skills that I would have never thought that would be able to gain as a teenager. I was 16 at the time when I was working with the City Hall, and honestly, I can say that literally inspired me to want to create change in my community, create change for myself, create change for my family, my friends. And I was also working in the Mayor's Office of Department of Youth Engagement and Employment in City Hall, in Mission Hill, excuse me. And that opportunity was more or less in a very direct experience with working with youth, and I was hiring teenagers for school year and summer jobs, and to have the impact of being able to provide a teenager with the opportunity of working maximum 10 hours a week during the school year was phenomenal. There would be some youth who would come to us in the office, and when we would have to review some of the grades sometimes, we would look at some of the grades and we would see that some of the students didn't have the best grades. And I would be able to sit with them and pull them aside at times and say, is there any support that you need? This is an office, we're able to provide that support. The city is here to help you. If they were struggling, with anything at home, if, they were homeless, we was able to provide that support. So me being the person to be able to do that for them was really, really empowering for myself, because it showed me that at such a young age I can do this.
Malachi, it's clear in what you shared that learning doesn't only occur in school. Much of what we learn occurs outside of school. And I always believe that the most authentic learning is learning that replicates adult life. And you're practicing what you would have to do as an adult. Can you tell me, if you had some advice to give to folks, what would make for the perfect internship for a BPS student?
I think that, well, I definitely agree to your point, and I think that, especially for high schoolers, we have to really make sure that we're engaging them into our environments, into the workforce, because when they receive those opportunities like I did when I was 16 and 17 years old, it changed my life. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for those opportunities. So if we can continue to reach out to those youth and give them opportunities, then who knows how many lives it would change in the city. I think that for me, the perfect internship looks like something that I'm able to utilize all the skills that I have, and although it may not be much because I'm still young, however, if I can use those in the workforce or whatever environment that I'm in, and be able to master them or perfect them or make them better by someone who has guidance and knowledge in that area for me, I think that that's beneficial. I also think that an internship that's very understanding of different cultures and different ethnicities and respective of different ideas and different cultures, I think is very, very important as a person of color. And then I also think that honestly just opportunities to grow and network, especially as a youth. For myself, growing up in a low-income single-parent household, I didn't have a large network at a very young age, but I've been able to be in certain pockets and be in certain environments where I've been able to push myself, although it feels uncomfortable at times. I do it because I know that I want to change my worldview. I want to change the situation that I'm in, and that's the case for a lot of youth in Boston Public Schools. They want to change their worldview as well.
Sophia, anything to add?
Yeah, I think the perfect internship is definitely a welcoming staff. And as a teenager, we always have this perception that we're always misunderstood. Because I'm 18 years old, that means I can't do this, I can't do that. And I believe that, the best staff are the people that know that push you, they know that you can do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Because you have it in you. And I feel like the best staff is what's most important, because if your own staff doesn't believe in you, you're not going to believe in yourself. And I think that it's also important to be creative. You know what I'm saying? It's fun to sit in the desk all the time, but I think it's great to actually go down to these places, meet these kids, talk to these kids, and actually know their name and their face. And I feel like that's what a lot of different internships don't have. So just understanding us, we're just as smart as you guys. Push us to be the greatest that we can one day, because we are gonna fill your shoes one day. So just that respect, welcoming, creativity is definitely a necessity, I think, in the perfect internship.
And to add on to that point, I think that something that I would also include is an environment that's challenging but fun, and with the creativity aspect, I think that's important because it'll allow for us to understand what are we interested in at a young age. And that's very important for us youth because we like a lot of things. We don't know what we want to do in our lives. I'm in college, I don't know what I want to do. I'm saying I want to teach, and it seems great right now, but who knows what if that changes next week or a year from now, So I think that definitely having a work environment that's challenging but fun and also not repetitive.
If I may just quickly comment about what both of you said. Our young people have incredible assets to bring, racial, cultural, linguistic assets, and they want to use those assets to solve problems. And you heard it from both of them. So please, 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 we encourage you to find those opportunities for our young people. One last question for you, and I'm going to kind of go a little off script. If you had an ask for the people in this room, either for yourself, as you continue developing as young people and young adults, or ask on behalf of your peers, what would your ask be of the folks around you here?
I think that my ask would be to not only grab a youth within the Boston Public School system, whether it's 1, 2, or 3, but to really get a hold of them and get to know them, mentor them, as well as give them an opportunity, give them a chance. Some of these youth don't even have someone who actually listens to them, whether it be outside of school or inside of school. They might not have that person to hear them out in any scenario, whether it be academic or non-academic. So if you can be that person for them, then that's a great thing. And as well as just providing that opportunity, if you can provide a working opportunity for them and coach them, coach them with whatever it is, and it may not be something that, like if you're into the private sector and you're into financing, but the youth isn't necessarily into that, you can maybe tap into a network and connect into somebody else who is within their interest. That's a not much of a large ask, and I think that that'll be one way that we can really shape and redesign all the things that are going on in the city.
Sophia?
To go off your point, I think once you grab them, you definitely don't let go. There's going to be a lot of hard times, especially as a teenager. Like, I'm 18 years old and I've seen a lot, you know what I'm saying? And once you grab them, don't let go. Like, be there for them, someone you can call, someone you can text. Like, literally to this day, I text Thaddeus and Nadia about like stupid things. Even like talking about like the supremacist march a few months ago, I was like, hey, should I go to this? Will I be safe? And the fact that Thaddeus was like, go, I got you. If you need help, if you're afraid, like call me. You know what I'm saying? And that I've only been working with him for like 2 months in the summer. You know what I'm saying? Don't let go of them. Nadia's like, I look up to her. You know what I'm saying? And like I text her about stupid things. You don't just always talk about like community engagement and marketing. You know what I'm saying? Like I talk to her literally about everything. So once you grab them, don't let go, because they need you. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed them, and they're always there for me. So don't let go of them.
Awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. Thank you for being authentic. And my ask of folks in this room is that in the next 24 hours, share with 5 colleagues about what you heard from these 2 young people today, and kind of pass that word along. So now I'm turning over to Dr. Makiba McCrary, who's going to take over. Thank you so much.
Now I know why Jesse said, Makiba, you go up and close, because he didn't want to follow those 2 rock stars. I'm going to let you eat in peace and get back to your busy days, but I do want to say, from the bottom of Boston Public Schools' heart, thank you. This is not the industry that has good muscle at doing things in collaboration with lots of other industries. We're learning, but we really need you to make sure that our young people know how to stay in this city, become a part of the workforce, be the leaders, the entrepreneurs, the innovators of tomorrow. We can't do that by ourselves. So I really thank you very much for taking the time out of your day. Know that we changed the name from Principal Partner for a Day to Principal Partner for a reason. It doesn't stop today. So for your colleagues who you think might have enjoyed this experience, be in touch. We will make sure to get you out to a school. If there was another school that you were really interested in, we would be happy to try to find a way to get you out to that school. But we also are teaching our school leaders how to think about partnerships that go beyond just writing checks. We love the checks, we would take the money. But we want your expertise, we want your skills, we want your service. And so in our office, the Office of External Affairs, we think about it as time, treasure, and talent, skills-based talent. And so we will be following up with you. You will get a survey. My Tess may have sent it out 5 minutes ago in your email. Both our school leaders and you as our business partners, please fill it out. Tell us what we got right. Tell us where we can do better. Let us know if there was something that you wished you had asked or wished that you had understood. It's our work to make sure that we close those loops and that we just get better and better at doing this. So thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.
you.